Hello everyone. So today's topic of discussion is AML-KYC guideline. This is lecture 2 or unit 2 of module A PPB. So let's start discussing or let's start having the revision of the complete chapter. Okay. First of all, you all know that what is money laundering and financing of terrorism risk. So money laundering, there are two words attached. Okay. So to launder money. When there is a need to launder money, the need to launder money arises when there is a bad money. Bad money means any money which comes from the illegal source. So, what is the process or what is money laundering? Money laundering is when any money is earned from any illegal source and is presented in the economy or is induced in the financial system in such a way that it is actually come from a legitimate source or from a legal source, then it is known as the money laundering. Because see, bad money is the money which is coming from the illegal source. Now we are laundering it, we are cleaning it, we are cleaning the dirt of that money. It means that we are inducing this money into the financial system in such a way that it represents that okay, it didn't come from illegal source, I am a legal source money. That is known as money laundering. So money laundering is a process where the origin of the fund is generated from any illegal or criminal activity like drug trafficking, gun smuggling, and induced in the economy in such a way that it comes from a legitimate source. Now, there are different types of things that are used for the money laundering process. For example, there is a corruption that is involved with the money laundering thing. Oftenly, corruptions took a place where the money laundering thing happened. Okay, you are using this money into the corruption, into the Ponzi scheme. What are these Ponzi scheme? So Ponzi scheme is a type of a scheme in which new investor is actually paid or old investor is actually paid by the investment of new investor, so as to show that okay, we are receiving a very much profit. For example, there is a whole structure. Okay, now there are old investors who have invested in that company, but new investors are also coming. So the organization is doing what? Whatever the investment from the new investor is coming, this investment is actually what? This investment is actually used for paying out the old investor. This is known as Ponzi scheme. So this representation is actually a Ponzi scheme. Old, new, the rest, the wealth is in the hand of the management. So all these are the part of the money laundering, like corruption, tax evasion, Ponzi schemes, financial crimes. These are all very closely connected with the money laundering. Now, funds from these crimes are actually form a very substantial portion of the money laundering. So if you are utilizing any fund for these type of crimes, for example corruption or tax evasion or anything, these are very much closely related with the money laundering. Okay, now so there are three components of the money launderings which we can say. First is the money laundering. Okay, the top thing is the money laundering. Second thing is the financial crimes. Financial crimes are activated because of this money laundering. And third are the terrorist financing. So terrorists, the fund which are used for the terrorist financing, the funds which are utilized in the financial crimes, these two comes from the what comes from the money laundering, and that's why these are considered as a three triad, because these are very closely interrelated with each other. There is a money laundering, there is a financial crime, and there is a terrorist financing. Okay, now for the money laundering thing, for the management of this money laundering, or the for the prevention of this money laundering in all over the countries. So the countries have a common organization, international organization, which is known as FATF, Financial Action Task Force, which is actually responsible for the prevention of the money laundering. FATF keep a very close look on the different countries' financial status and financial transaction, so as to find out that whether this country is involved in the money laundering thing or not. So, money laundering or terrorist financing, for the prevention of these type of activity, there is a financial action task force which actually helps the countries, or which actually promote the prevention of these money laundering thing. They issues two type of lists, gray list and black list, in which if they have the surety that okay, they have the surety that okay, this country is involved in the money laundering, then they put it in the blank blacklist. And if they don't have the surety, but they have the thing okay, they this country may be or may not be involved in the money laundering or terrorist financing, these countries are put in the gray list. Okay, now next, if we talk about the stages of the money laundering, a very important thing, what are the stages of the money laundering? So, if we talk about, there are three broad stages of the money laundering. There is a placement, there is layering, and there is integration. Okay, now, started from the very first, there is a start that there is a dirty money that a person is actually earning money from some illegal source, for example, drugs or trafficking or anything. So, a money is earned from the illegal source. That person is representing this. Okay. Now, there is a step which comes as placement. Now, this dirty money in the very first step of placement is placed into the different accounts of the financial institutions or banks. So these dirty money is placed into the financial system or induced into the financial system. And how it is induced to the financial system? It is induced in the financial system by depositing it into the different financial accounts. Now the second step comes at layering. Now these the fund in these accounts which are kept in the placement, the fund in these accounts are then layered and moved to different account. Why? Because this so as to hide the sources from where the money is earned. For example, I have deposited a dirty money in my account. Now this I should be layering it with the different financial transactions, as well as moving this fund to different account. For example, I have moved this fund from to A or B or C account, so as to hide the source of these funds. So layering involve both the two things. Either layer that fund with a financial transaction, so as the fund is layered and under that legal financial thing, or just move these financial funds to different accounts, so as to hide the source of this fund. And the last step of the money laundering is the integration. Now this money is actually acquired and pooled together. Now we have moved this money to the different account. Now this all pooled together into one, and this is now utilized to acquire some asset. And now the final thing is completed, because this money is actually laundered and used to acquire some legal asset or invest in the some legal business. So these are the step of the money laundering. First of all, the dirty money. The dirty money means when you have earned the money from the illegal source. Then there is a process that comes as placement. Now you have placed this into the financial system, induce this into the financial system. How? By depositing it into the account. Now this account is now layered means, now if it is layered, this fund is layered with different type of legal financial transaction, or the fund from this account is moved to different account, so as to hide the original source of this fund. And lastly, this fund is now integrated, pooled together, and now this fund is used to acquire some legal asset. So final stage of money laundering is completed. So these are the stages of the money laundering, and that already I have explained here. So this is the stages of the money laundering. Now next, We are talking about the stages of the financing of terrorism. Now, as there is a stages of the money laundering, there are stages of the terrorism financing also. There are three triads. I have already told you: money laundering, terrorism financing, and financial crimes. These are closely interrelated with each other. Now, let us discuss what are the process or stages of the terrorism financing. First of all, raising raising first of all, the terrorist organization source fund from the sympathizers, both individual and organization. The first thing is to raise the fund. So these terrorist organization target the sympathizers, means the individual or organization who are ready to fund them. Okay, so first the fund is being raised and income is generated from any illegal activities. Okay, now second is moving. Now the fund is being raised, then the contributor to this terrorist organization can be located anywhere in the world. Now these funds are required to move to the place of the establishment of the terrorist organization. For example, that terrorist organization is a USA based terrorist organization. Okay, and the fund that is invested, or the sympathizers of these terrorist organization who want to contribute to their funds are actually from different part of the funds. They are not necessarily that they are living in the USA. So the second step is they have to move the fund. All the sympathizers have to move the fund to the establishment, to the place of the establishment of terrorist organization, that is USA. Now, then it is moved. Finally, now it is stored. Stored means, because these terrorist organization always raise fund for some specific purpose. Now, until that specific purpose, the fund is actually being stored. Okay, and how it is stored? So these are stored over a specific period of time in different bank accounts or in different financial schemes. Okay, finally the last step is using this raise fund. Now the terrorist organization use this fund for their organizational related activities. So these are the stages of the financing of terrorism. I have told you four stages. First, there is a raising. First, there is a raising of the money. So the terrorist organization actually raised these money from their sympathizers. Now moving this money, so their sympathizers don't necessarily belong to the same place where the terrorist organization is. So their sympathizers has to move that fund to the place of the origin or the establishment of that terrorist organization. Then it is stored, because this is for a specific purpose. So until that specific purpose, these funds are actually stored in different bank accounts or in different financial schemes. And finally, utilization or using this fund for their organizational activities. So these are the four steps of the stages of the financing of terrorism. The three steps, especially three steps for the money laundering is, first of all, the placement of the dirty money. Second of is the layering. You have to layer that fund. And third is the integration. Now again, you have to pool that fund and to use that fund for acquiring of some assets. Okay, three triads I have already told you: financial crimes, terrorist financing, and money laundering. These are very closely interrelated with each other. Okay, now what are the objectives of the prevention of the money laundering? This you all know. Why this money laundering need to be stopped? Why there is a need for the prevention of this money laundering? So there is a need for the prevention of the money laundering. Why? First of all, to prevent any type of criminal activities that are arising from the money laundering. So obviously money laundering gave rise to the terrorism financing also, financial crimes also. So to avoid the financial crimes and the terrorism financing, this money laundering is need to be stopped. To prevent the criminal activities in the society, to safeguard the economy from any type of financial crimes, to prevent the terrorists from gaining this financial resources. So these are the objective for the prevention of the money laundering. Okay, Now, what are the framework for if that is currently in India? Anti-money laundering framework means how we can take a step for the reduction of the money laundering. So, if in India, so all the things are by the recommendation of FATF. So, first of all, there is Financial Intelligence Unit India, FIU. This has been set up for receiving the information of the various transactions. Okay, so first of all, there is a Financial Intelligence Unit India which has been established to receive the information of all the type of financial transaction that has been done by the business and banks and institution and anyone. So all the informations are being stored in the Financial Intelligence Unit India. Now next, there is an enforcement directorate which is responsible for the investigation and prosecuting authority for the money laundering crime. Means all these informations are now, which the information FIU India has received, this information has now been under the scrutiny, or you can say investigation. Now there is an enforcement directorate who is responsible for the investigations of all these financial transactions and tracking and details of this. Now, there are special courts which are set up for the education of these cases of the money laundering. So if the enforcement directorate found anyone to be a guilty, now there are special courts which actually decides that okay, you are guilty or not guilty, and if you are guilty, then what should be the provisions or what should be the punishment that should be given to you. So these are the special courts. And lastly, they are the regulators. Now, various business activities are called by the enforcement directorate and special courts for their clarification, because if they have doubt in A, B, and C, and D, and E company, now it is not necessary that all the companies are culprit. No, there are some companies who are culprit. There are some companies also who are not culprit. So this is the role of the regulator. The regulator actually represent their companies and discharge all the things which are imposed on them. So if they are not guilty, the regulators are responsible for presenting such arguments and documents which actually justifies the organization and discharge them from any type of obligation. So this is the AML framework. So there are 4 steps. First of all, there is FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit India, which is responsible for giving the information. Second, there is Enforcement Directorate, which actually investigate. Special courts, they judge and take the punishment. And lastly, there are regulators who discharge the financial authorities with this framework. Lastly, money laundering offenses. So, what are the money laundering offenses? First of all, Section 45 of PMLA stimulates that this are deemed to be a cognizable and non-bailable offense. So if you are involved in the money laundering thing, so section 45 of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act says that it is a cognizable, means it you can be arrested without any warrant if there is any suspicious activity that you are involved in this. So it is first of all cognizable, means you can be arrested without any warrant and non-bailable offense. Now section 4 defines the punishment. The punishment is rigorous. Punishment is not less than 3 years, and this can be extended up to 7 years, and in some cases like narcotics, and in some cases the imprisonment can be extended to 10 years also. Clear? So this is the revision of part 1 of this chapter. So this chapter has 2 parts, AML and KYC guidelines. Okay, so I have revised the AML, anti-money laundering thing. So this is the complete anti-money laundering thing. Now in the second part, you will be getting the KYC thing, know your customer thing. Okay, so thank you so much guys for watching this video. Thank you so much. Till then, take care. Meet you in the next class. Bye bye. Take care, everyone. Bye.